Lineup for the first limited late model heat event of the evening. Starting on the pole in the 9 Junior Russ Leinbach. Outside row 1 to 19 is Sam Flayhardy. The 128 is Chris Shuey. Outside row 2 in the 17, Barry Howard. Row 3, it's a 90 of John Provenza. The 5 of Rick Barr. In row 4, the 9 is Craig Schover. The F1 Smokey Fry. Rounding out the field in the 43 is Ron Little. The 07 making his debut is Russ Shutt, and scheduled to start on the pole, electing to go scratch, the 99 of Andy Goresko. Ron Little in the 43 is racing with a broken wrist, suffered here at an accident last week. So Little, a lot of guts tonight in that 43 car. We're underway. Opening event of the evening. Lee's video bringing you the action, and Sam Flayhardy leading Barry Howard at the moment. Howard now dives that 17 car down low, and Howard has the lead as Flayhardy got a little high and touched the wall. Rick Barr has that 5 car in second, but coming on strong is a 128 car of Chris Shuey. Rick Barr out of Camp Hill in that number 5 car, putting speed on Howard, but at the same time trying to hold off Chris Shuey in that 128. Smokey Fry has moved up to 4th in the F1, and Smokey started way back in 9th. Fry now coming through turn 4. Really had to get on the binder. Shuey got a little out of shape. Smokey Fry now up into 3rd. Shuey back to 4th in the 128. And the teammates. Craig Schover in the 9, Russ Leinbach Jr. in the 9 Junior, battling for that 5th and final qualifying position. Now Schover made it happen down low, and he slides that number 9 car into 5th. Meanwhile, Smokey Fry working on Rick Barr for 2nd. Fry and Barr, wheel to wheel. Rick Barr prefers the high groove, and Smokey sliding that F1 car down low. Smokey Fry really on a tear here in the last part of the season in that F1 car. He's come on very strong. Barry Howard in the Locksmith Beauty Supply number 17 car has his hands full as Smokey Fry coming down low and really closing the gap on that number 17 car. We are now halfway in this heat event. Howard now got a little high, and Smokey Fry nowhere to go as Barry Howard closed the door on him. Howard now again slides a little high, and Smokey Fry no room to get around him. Rick Barr still running 3rd. Chris Shuey 4th, and Craig Schover hanging on to that 5th and final qualifying spot. Again, Smokey Fry sees an opening and tries to get through. Barry Howard giving him racing room, but Smokey cannot get in there this time. Now they come out of turn 4 to wheel to wheel and dead even as they come across that start-finish line. Again, Smokey Fry down low, and Barry Howard trying to stay with him, and we have a new leader, Dale Smokey Fry in the F1. Lap 7, Smokey Fry becomes the new leader, and he brings the field out of turn 4 with 2 laps to go. Barry Howard, after leading for the first 6 laps, now running 2nd. Their leader's putting a lap on the 07 car of Russ Shutt. Howard holding off Rick Barr, who's running 3rd, as Howard a little trouble getting around the lap car of Russ Shutt. Rick Barr running 3rd as the white flag waving. The leader heading out of turn number 2 with open speedway ahead. Dale Smokey Fry started this event in the number 9 position, and he took the lead on lap 7. There's your winner, Smokey Fry, the F1. Finishing 2nd in the 17 car, Barry Howard. 3rd in the 5 car was Rick Barr. Finishing 4th was Chris Shuey in the 128. And the 5th and final qualifying spot went to Craig Schover in the 9. John Provenza, Ron Little, Russ Leinbach, Sam Flayhardy, Andy Goresko, and Russ Shutt completed the field. But to win once again the F1 car, Smokey Fry. Here's your Lee's video lineup for limited late model heat number 2. Starting on the pole in the 55, Jerry Wells out of York. Starting 2nd out of York Haven in the 75 is Tim Liddy. Starting 3rd in the 29 out of Mechanicsburg, Todd Bayshore. 4th out of Enola in the 10 is Gene Wrightstone. Starting 5th out of Carlisle in the 2, Scott Richwine. Starting 6th out of Hummelstown in the 71, Dave Eitner. 7th out of Mechanicsburg in the 41 is Jay Hoover. Starting 8th out of Wurstville in the 4, Kenny Ryland. Starting 9th, out of Harrisburg in the 18 car, Charlie Cope. Starting 10th, the all-time leading feature winner here at Silver Spring Speedway in the limited late model division, out of Wurstville in the 06 is Eddie Jones. Rounding out the field in the 43D car, out of Dover, David Hannigan. 11 cars to take the starting green. 5 cars will qualify and advance into the feature field. The rest will have to run a Consolation. Jerry Wells out of York on the pole in the 55. Jerry ran the first half of the season at the Lincoln Speedway, making Silver Spring his Saturday night home the latter part of the season. Outside row 1 in the colorful number 75 is Tim Liddick. Todd Bayshore, Gene Wrightstone in row number 2. Scotty Richwine starts 5th. Outside Richwine, Dave Eitner. The green comes out. Jerry Wells flying in at 55 has the lead. Tim Liddick now 2nd. Todd Bayshore 3rd, and Wrightstone now in that number 10 car going on the outside. Jerry Wells opening up a nice little cushion. Liddick holding on to 2nd, but Wrightstone and Bayshore battling for 3rd. Bayshore had the edge down low, but Gene Wrightstone going up high. Dave Eitner following that number 10 car through, and now Wrightstone dives down low coming out of turn number 2. But Liddick closed the door on him, and now we have trouble in the backstretch. A couple cars tangling. The 2 of Scotty Richwine, the 71 of Davey Eitner, the first 2 cars involved in that melee. Also coming in late was a 3rd car, and that was Jay Hoover in the 41. But the car you see up in the air is the 2 of Scotty Richwine, and underneath him the unfortunate number 71 car of Dave Eitner. With 1 lap complete, we'll resume this the second limited late model heat. Jerry Wells leading the way in the 55, with Tim Liddick running 2nd, Gene Wrightstone, Todd Bayshore, and Ken Ryland holding on to the final 5 qualifying spots. Todd Bayshore in that 29 car, a former street stock driver right here at Silver Spring Speedway. Now Ryland working his way underneath that 29. Kenny on the bubble as we qualify 5. Bayshore goes high, and Ryland 6 that number 4 car low, but here comes Eddie Jones in the 06 car. Jones on the outside, power lifting the front wheel off that car a little bit in that 06. Ryland, meanwhile, continues to work on the 29 of Bayshore. Wrightstone a little out of shape, and he's diving down low. Liddick closing the door. Ryland and Bayshore now wheel to wheel. That battle going on for 4th. Ryland breaks away from the 29 and moves up on that 10 of Gene Wrightstone. Wrightstone goes high. Ryland coming underneath him. Coming out of turn 4, they're wheel to wheel, and Wrightstone holds a slight advantage with 4 complete. And now contact there between Eddie Jones and Ryland as Gene Wrightstone on his horse, and he's up into 2nd. Liddick coming right back at him, but now Liddick goes a little high, and Ryland comes underneath him. Bringing along is the 06 of Eddie Jones, and Jones on the move. Jones now slides through turn 2 and dives down, holds off Ryland and sets his sights on Gene Wrightstone. Wrightstone a little out of shape, so Jones had to get on the binder. Eddie Jones started 10th in that 06, and he's putting all kinds of heat on Gene Wrightstone. Pulling into the pit was a 43D of Dave Hannigan. Jerry Wells running away with this one in the 55, and the battles for 2nd, and you see it right here. Leeds Video has it for you. Gene Wrightstone and Eddie Jones. Kenny Ryland running 4th, and now Charlie Cope has moved up into 5th. Cope right there in that 18 car working on Kenny Ryland. And now for 2nd, Wrightstone a little out of shape, and Eddie Jones capitalizes on that and moves into 2nd. We have 2 to go on the field. Eddie Jones 2nd, Gene Wrightstone now back to 3rd. Currently running 4th is Ken Ryland, and 5th is Charlie Cope, and a white flag comes out for our leader. He has a half a lap lead here in a qualifying heat event, and that's Lion Jerry Wells out of York. Wells driving a Bernheisel chassis, number 55 car, and he made it look easy. Here he comes, the winner, Jerry Wells in the 55 car. Waiting for our second place finisher, and here he comes out of turn number 4, Eddie Jones in the 06. Third is Gene Wrightstone in the 10. Fourth in the number 4 was Kenny Ryland. Fifth is the 18 of Charlie Cope. Rounding out the field was Todd Bayshore, Jay Hoover, Dave Eitner, and Tim Liddick. But once again to win, and he made it look easy, Jerry Wells in the 55. And here's your Lee's video lineup for the third and final limited late model heat event of the evening. Starting on the pole in the 7-Eleven is Russell Shoup. Starting second in the 28, Miles Bird. The 77 of Mark Knopp will start third, with Doug Fry fourth in the 15. Fifth is the 14 of Roy Miller. Sixth and 12 of Glenn Adams. The K3 of Wilma Weiss will be seventh. Mark Billett in the 40. Carl Graves in the 27 will start ninth. 10th is the 117 of Jeff King. 11th, the point leader, Jim Bernheisel in the 91. And scheduled to start last was another 7-Eleven car. He's not out there. Russ Shoup, Miles Bird up in row number 1. Miles Bird in one of those rare Ford late model racers here tonight. And Miles Bird out early in that 28. Coming out of 4, Miles Bird has the lead in the 28, but here comes Doug Fry. Mark Billett on the move in the 40 as he's going high in the speedway and getting around a lot of cars. Doug Fry now for the lead, dives underneath the 28 of Bird. Coming out of turn 4, Fry a little out of shape. Miles Bird stays on the outside, but Doug Fry, the new leader. Miles Bird has second, but Mark Billett now on the move in the 40 car. Billett and Bird wheel to wheel, and there goes Billett out of turn 2 and into second. Miles Bird back to third, but Carl Graves going outside of him and flying in that 27 car. Glenn Adams coming through in the low side, and Miles Bird handling problems in that 28 car. The 77 car, Mark Knopp coming through the field. He's currently running 5th. 5 cars will qualify. 3-car battle for the lead. Doug Fry, Carl Graves, Mark Billett. We have 2 complete. Doug Fry, a rookie in this division, and a very impressive looking rookie he is. Has his hands full with some feature-winning veterans in Mark Billett and Carl Graves, and here comes Billett in the 40 car. Billett now goes underneath the 15 of Fry. Coming out of turn 2, who will it be? They're wheel to wheel. Billett now throws that 40 car out front, and Doug Fry coming right back at him as Carl Graves throwing that 27 car hard in turn 4. We are halfway. Mark Billett in the 40, out front and running. Doug Fry running second. Miles Bird, a lap car in that 28 car. Running third is Carl Graves. Glenn Adams has fourth, and there comes Jeff King. Nowhere to go, and King got into the wall, as did Bernheisel in the 91 car. Jimmy Bernheisel tried to get underneath the 28 of Bird, but there was just no racing room available. Mark Knopp, Jeff King. And King in that 117 car running through the field now as he's on the bubble in the 5th and final qualifying spot. King and Adams been going wheel to wheel here for several laps. And we have a yellow coming out. Debris on the speedway in turn 2. There's some pieces of race car on the track. For safety reasons, the yellow will come out with 7 laps complete. With 7 complete, it's Mark Billett, the leader. We have 3 to go in this one. Doug Fry in second, Carl Graves, Glenn Adams, and then Jeff King. They're your 5 qualifiers. The point leader deep in the pack, Jimmy Bernheisel. He has a long way to go in that 91 car. Jeff King now moving that 117 car up into 4th. Back to 5th is Glenn Adams in the 12, and Adams now holding off the rest of the field as he got a little sideways in turn 4. Carl Graves in the 27 now puts up with Jeff King, and King on the inside slides into third. Graves not giving up that easy as he throws that 27 car up high on the speedway. The white flag comes out. We're on our last circuit. There's your leader coming out of turn number 2. He started this event in the number 8 position. Driving out of York in the 40, there's your winner. It's Mark Billett. And we have trouble in turn 4. A couple cars tangled right at the end of the race. The 77 of Mark Knopp and the 12 of Adams got together. But the win, once again, went to the 40 of Mark Billett. Second is the 15 of Doug Fry. Third, Jeff King in the 117. Finishing fourth was the 27 of Carl Graves. And the fifth and final qualifying spot, and what a job he did on the last lap to get that qualifying position, Jimmy Bernheis on the 91. Once again, the win, Mark Billett in the 40. Here's your Lee's video lineup for the limited late model Consolation event. John Provenza in the 90, Todd Bayshore in row 1. Then comes the 14 of Roy Miller, the 43 of Ron Little, the 41 of Jay Hoover, the 77 of Mark Knopp, the 9 junior Russ Leinbach, the 71 of Dave Eitner, the 12 of Glenn Adams, the 19 of Sam Flayhardy, Tim Liddick in the 75, Miles Burden in the 28, Andy Gresco in the 99, Dave Panigan in the 43D, Russell Shoup in the 711, Russ Shutt the 07, Scotty Richwine the 2, and Wilma Weiss the K3, and Weiss had trouble in the heat events. We will have a false start here as the cars were not lined up properly. We had 3 abreast going into turn 2, so we will start them next time around. Limited late model Consolation event. John Provenza in that 90. It looks like Provenza has a new body on that car tonight. Again, remember the 43, Ron Nittle is racing with a broken wrist, suffered here last Saturday night. Starter has green in hand and waving, and we're underway again. Johnny Provenza in the 90, trying to hold off the 29 of Todd Bayshore. Roy Miller, Ron Little running in that second row. Ron Little, despite that broken wrist, running that 43 car pretty hard out there. He's challenging for second. Roy Miller goes slow, but Ron Little has that 43 car high. Todd Bayshore fourth. Jay Hoover fifth, and Rick Barr. We have the 77 car moving up. That's Mark Knopp. Knopp's currently running sixth. Bayshore fifth. Jay Hoover's in fourth. Ron Little again challenging that 14 for second. Ron Little now goes low. Roy Miller hangs on to second, but Little is closing the lead. Johnny Provenza is out front in the 90 car, but that lead is slowly dwindling away as there comes Roy Miller. Miller in the 14 now going down low, coming out of turn 2. Can Provenza hold him off? They're wheel to wheel and side by side. Miller down low, Provenza up high. Trouble in turn 2 as we have the 07 car facing the wrong direction. Making his debut here tonight is Russ Shutt out of Summerdale. And Russ drove the number 16 late model for several seasons. First time in the 07 car, and he lost a handle in turn number 2. We have 3 laps complete. John Provenza has that 90 car leading the field. Roy Miller in the 14 running second. Ron Little in third, followed by Jay Hoover, Todd Bayshore, and Mark Knopp. And there comes the 14 of Miller again challenging Provenza for the lead. Provenza trying to hold him off in that 90 car. Provenza and Miller, 2-car battle for the lead, but Provenza holding the fort. It's Provenza, Miller, Little, and there comes Roy Miller again. Just when we break, Miller puts a challenge on the Provenza again, equal to the task. Ron Little now sticks that number 43 car right up there, and he's looking for a mistake. We are halfway in this Consolation event, 5 down and 5 to go. Provenza, Miller, Little, Hoover, and Bayshore the top 5. Then we have Knopp, Eitner, Adams, Leinbach, and Flayhardy. Jay Hoover, Todd Bayshore, 3rd and 4th, trouble up in turn number 3. We have a car getting sideways, bringing out the yellow. It's Rush Soup just got around him in that 7-Eleven without making contact. So we do have a car facing the wrong direction. And that looks like it's the 07 car. Very well could be Rush Shutt again. Again, Shutt new in this car, trying to feel his way through. Rush Shutt in the 07. John Provenza continues to be the leader after 6 complete. Leads video, racing action here from Silver Spring Speedway. Provenza, again, as the green comes out, holding off the 14er Roy Miller. Ron Nettle continues the challenge in the 43 car. Jay Hoover running a solid 4th in the 41. Mark Knopp contact there for 5th as Knopp slides in the 5th, and here comes Davey Eitner in the 71 car. Eitner and Bayshore are side by side, and again we have a challenge for the lead. Roy Miller stuck that 14 car side by side with the 90, but Provenza pulled away. Miller going to try it again coming out of turn number 2. We have a good tight 3-car battle for 5th. And we have a good 2-car battle for the lead. We have 2 to go on the field. Provenza and Miller, right there they are, battling for the lead with 2 to go in the Consolation event. This time Roy Miller moves up beside him, but Provenza again got a little bit too much, and now Provenza got a little too high in the 90, and that allowed Miller to make his move. Roy Miller the leader now. John Provenza must be the pursuer. Provenza on the outside cannot get around the 14. That door's closed, and here comes Ron Little. Little, Provenza, Miller, who's it going to be? Checker flag in hand. Roy Miller, the winner in the 14 car. Second by a half a car length was John Provenza in the 90. Finishing 3rd, broken wrist and all, Ron Little in the 43. 4th was the 41 of Jay Hoover. Finishing 5th in the 77, Mark Knopp. And the 6th and final qualifying spot went to Dave Eitner in the 71. Glenn Adams will be the alternate, but the winner, the 14 car, it's Roy Miller. Here's your Lee's video lineup for the limited late model feature event. Starting on the pole in the 55 is Jerry Wells. Second in the 15, Doug Fry. Starting 3rd in the 128, Chris Shuey. 4th in the 10, Gene Wrightstone. Starting 5th in the 17 is Barry Howard. 6th in the 5, Rick Barr. Starting 7th in the 40, Mark Billett. 8th in the number 4, Kenny Ryland. Starting 9th in the 27 is Carl Graves. 10th in the F1, Smokey Fry. Starting 11th in the 117 is Jeff King. 12th in the 06, Eddie Jones. 13th in the 9 is Craig Shover. 14th in the 18, Charlie Cope. 15th in the 91, the point leader, Jimmy Bernheisel. 16th in the 14 is Roy Miller. Starting 17th in the 90, John Provenza. 18th in the 43, the gentleman racing with a broken wrist, Ron Little. Starting 19th in the 41 is Jay Hoover. 20th in the 77 is Mark Knopp. Rounding out the field in the number 71 car, starting 21st out of Hummelstown, is Dave Eitner. The alternate was Glenn Adams, and Glenn will not be needed as all 21 cars answer the starting call. Jim Bernheisel, the point leader in the 91 car. Lee's video bringing you limited late model feature action from the Silver Spring Speedway under track promoter Alan Kreitzer. The F1 car you're looking at is Smokey Fry, and this gentleman has been hotter than a firecracker here at the Silver Spring Speedway. Carl Graves in the 27 car, Kenny Ryland in the 4. Caution laps here at Silver Springs. Next time we come around, we will be racing the Family Ford Mercury Pace car, getting ready to pull off of the speedway. Eddie Jones in the 06, the all-time leading feature winner here at Silver Springs. Lee's Video, again, bringing you to racing action, and we're waiting the start of the limited late model feature. Jim Bernheisel has 8 wins. Smokey Fry has 4 in the F1. Ron Little has 2. Single wins are the 90 of Provenza, the 117 of King, 27 of Graves, the 40 of Billett, the 10 of Wrightstone, and Carl Billett, who made an appearance one time and took a feature when he was here. Green flag waving, and now we're racing here at Silver Spring Speedway. Jerry Wells out front in the 55 car. Doug Fry sticking with him in that 15 car with Shuey running 3rd. Now Doug Fry challenging for the lead. Wells closes the door on him, and that allows Chris Shuey to move on the high side of the 15. We have contact coming out of turn 4. Ryland getting out of shape in the 4. He straightens it out as everybody backs off. We have 1 complete. It's Wells the leader with Fry in 2nd, Shuey in 3rd, Howard in 4th, and Rick Barr running 5th in the number 5 car. Coming up to the pack turn, and there's contact again between the 40 of Billett and the 5 of Rick Barr. 2-car battle for the lead shapes up trouble down there between 1 as we have a couple of them piled up. The 5 of Rick Barr facing sideways with Carl Gray sticking his 27 into him. The 117 of Jeff King also there, and you see the 14 of Roy Miller pulling away. All this started as the 27 of Grays got tangled with Rick Barr at number 5 as Barr facing in the wrong direction. Jerry Wells in that 55 car leading the way. Doug Fry sticking right with him in that 15. We have 2 complete. Chris Shuey running 3rd in the 128 car. And Barry Howard 4th in the 17. Fry in the 15. And Shuey into trouble again as Eddie Jones in the 06 got turned the wrong direction. Jones now moving out, and he's going to rejoin the field. That's our feature winner, the all-time leading feature winner, Eddie Jones in that 06, and it looks like Eddie may have a flat tire in the left rear. Jones now heading into the pit area as Eddie Jones does have a flat tire. That's a tough break. With 2 laps complete, York's Jerry Wells in the 55 leading the field. Doug Fry in the 15 car out of York also running 2nd. Chris Shuey out of Orfield running 3rd, and Barry Howard 4th. Look who's up there in that number 5 position. It's the F1 of Smokey Fry already in contention. Fry now around the 17. And trouble in the backstretch. Charlie Cope in the 18 got facing the wrong way. Barry Howard in the 17 lost power coming out of turn 2. Charlie Cope came up through with full power and had to get on the binders hard, and doing that, the car spun sideways. He's into the wall on the outside. We don't think he hit it hard, but that's a real tough break for Charlie Cope as he had nowhere to go. We have 2 laps complete. Jerry Wells leading the way. Doug Fry still with him in that 15. Charlie Cope was able to rejoin the field, as was the 06 of Eddie Jones. Smokey Fry in that F1 car, 6-that car high in the speedway, and that's where he's going to make it happen tonight. Doug Fry now being challenged for 2nd by the 128 of Chris Shuey. Shuey going underneath him, and look on the outside. Here comes Smokey Fry in that familiar number F1 car. Trouble on the front stretch. Jimmy Bernheisel got that 91 headed the wrong way. And everybody doing a terrific job to get around him without making contact. That's your point leader sitting down here all alone, Jimmy Bernheisel in the 91. In that last altercation, we have lost our point leaders. Jim Bernheisel had to go to the wrecker, or had to go to the pit area by the wrecker. Bernheisel out of the race. We're under green again. We still have only 2 complete. Smokey Fry again on the move in the F1 as he's now in 3rd and working on 2nd. Jerry Wells the leader. Doug Fry running 2nd, but Smokey Fry right there in 3rd. Fry again throws that F1 car high on the speedway coming out of turn 4. Trouble in turn number 4. We had a car get sideways and he gathered more company in. Getting sideways was the 77 of Mark Knopp, and making contact was Carl Graves in the 27. Both of those cars moved out, but sitting up there with damage to the car, the 5 of Rick Barr. Jerry Wells been leading this race a long time, but there's only 4 official laps in the book. It's Wells out front. Doug Fry right with him in the 15, and Smokey Fry in the F1 right on the outside in the 3rd position. Smokey working on Doug Fry as Jerry Wells in the 55 leading the way as he has done since the offset. Now Smokey Fry really moves even with Doug Fry, but Doug meanwhile puts a challenge on the leader. We have 5 complete now. Jerry Wells goes high, Doug Fry goes low, and Smokey Fry high beside him. Smokey and Doug, the Fry boys now. Wheel to wheel, Jerry Wells got a little high in the 55. Who's it going to be out of 4? Still Jerry Wells, but Smokey Fry now on the inside has moved dead even with Doug and around him in turn number 1. Chris Shuey in the 128 had to pit, and he was running 4th. That's a tough break for Chris Shuey. Meanwhile, Jerry Wells, as he continues to ride high in the speedway, is being challenged heavily by Smokey Fry. John Provenza coming to a stop in turn number 4. Car number 90 against the guardrail in 4th turn, coming to a stop, and that'll bring the yellow out with 7 to go. Once again, that's a 90 of John Provenza. Seven laps are complete, and it's Flying Jerry Wells leading the way in the 55. Smokey Fry ready to take it away from him in the F1. Doug Fry trying to get back up in the run, but Smokey Fry now setting up the 55 of Wells. Smokey Fry down low, Jerry Wells went high, coming out of 2, it'll be the F1 of Smokey Fry. But Jerry Wells, the competitor he is, coming right back at the F1. Smokey Fry, that car's handling anywhere he's putting it tonight. And Smokey Fry has the lead. Jerry Wells back in 2nd, and now Doug Fry challenging Jerry Wells, and Doug Fry has moved into 2nd. Jerry Wells back to 3rd now in that 55 car. Currently running 4th is Barry Howard in the 17. Gene Wrightstone, Ron Little, Dave Eitner, Mark Bellin, and Craig Silver rounding out your top 10. Wrightstone in the 10 now, challenging Barry Howard's 17 car. Ron Little on the outside in the 43, broken wrist and all, and he is putting that car through the pack. Little now moves on the outside of Barry Howard's number 17 car, and Howard a little out of shape. That allows Ron Little to slide around him and move into 4th. Ron Little really looking good in that 43 car. He's now challenging Jerry Wells. It's Smokey Smokey Fry out front. Doug Fry running second. You're looking at the battle for third, and it's won right now by the 43 of Ron Little. Fourth now, Jerry Wells in the 55. Currently running fifth, the 40 of Mark Billett. Sixth is Gene Wrightstone. Seventh is Barry Howard. Eighth is Dave Eitner. Ninth is Jay Hoover. And 10th is Craig Stover. Rounding out the field will be Eddie Jones, Roy Miller, Charlie Cope, Rick Barr, Carl Graves, and Jeff King. Roy Miller in the 14 car now, moving to the back of the pack, but Mark Billett in the 40 now. He's challenging and has a top 5 position. Billett now putting heat on Jerry Wells, 55. Wells trying to hold on to fourth after leading for so many of the early laps. Wells goes high and Billett goes low, and that costs Jerry Wells fourth. Mark Billett running fourth in the number 40 car. Running third is a 43 of Ron Little as we have 14 complete. There's the 17 of Howard. Howard's in seventh in that number 17 car. Eighth is Dave Eitner. 16 laps are complete. Lee's Video bringing you limited late model action from the Silver Spring Speedway. Now Gene Wrightstone and Jerry Wells are going at it on the speedway. Wells goes high coming out of turn 2, and Gene Wrightstone trying to work underneath him. Smokey Fry is way out front. Duck Fry, Ron Little, Mark Billett, and there comes a fifth place man. It's Jerry Wells. And now the number 2 man in the second turn pulling into the pit, and that's Doug Fry in the 15. What a tough break as he was running second. Meanwhile, the action is hot on the speedway as Mark Billett in the 40 is closing in on Ron Little's number 43 car. There's Little, and he's running in the number 2 position. Way out front as a white flag drops. Heading into turn number 1 is our leader, and that's Dale Smokey Fry. Fry heads down the backstretch. He has open speedway ahead of him. He started this event in 10th, and he's your winner, checker flag waving. It's Smokey Fry in the F1. Finishing second, Ron Little. Third's Mark Billett. Fourth, Jerry Wells. Fifth is Gene Wrightstone. Sixth is Barry Howard. Seventh, Eddie Jones. Eighth is Dave Eitner. Ninth is Roy Miller. 10th is Jay Hoover, followed by Charlie Cope, Rick Barr, Jeff King, Craig Stover. Then comes the 27 of Carl Graves. But your winner after starting 10th in the F1 was Dale Smokey Fry. Smokey now heading into the pit area for a weigh-in. It's unofficial until he comes across those scales within the legal weight limitations. Smokey finished second in points last season, driving the little number 112 car. He had 8 career feature wins heading into this season. The 1979 track champion at the Susquehanna Speedway. He started 10th tonight. For Smokey, this is the 5th feature win of the season here at Silver Springs. So that's the 13th career win at this oval, with 5 of them coming this season.
Riding on the top 5 with the 10 of Gene Wrightstone, getting 6th with the 17 of Barry Howard. Finishing 7th.
Smokey Fry was a winner in the F1. Second was the 43 car, Ron Little. Third was the 40 of Mark Billett. Fourth was the 55 of Jerry Wells. And that's a real good finish for Wells. Finishing 5th in the 10, Gene Wrightstone. 6th was the 17 of Barry Howard. 7th was the 06 of Eddie Jones. 8th was the 71 of Dave Eitner. 9th, the 14 of Roy Miller. And rounding at the top 10 was Jay Hoover in the 41 car. 11th was Charlie Cope. 12th was Rick Barr. 13th was Jeff King. You see the victor down in victory lane right now. He started 10th, and he's been very, very impressive here. For Lee Redding, this is Mike Hallman. Congratulations tonight, winning his 5th feature of the season here at Silver Spring Speedway, Dale Smokey Fry in the F1.